Aloha, everyone! Welcome to Women Unleashed Online Retreat. I am Amber Quile Mailani Benici, your hostess with the mostest today, and really looking forward to this time. Here we are again, taking time for ourselves, to nurture ourselves, to tune inwards into that feminine space. And today we're going to be looking at creativity and having some self-compassion and some empathy for ourselves. I'm really excited to introduce our host, or our guide today. Before I get there, a couple of things. One, gathering your supplies. Now, today, our supply list, you might have noticed there was a lot of things some of you might not have been familiar with some of these supplies, so a couple of things. One, you can go ahead and do what we're gonna do with whatever stuff you have already. So if you have your journal, if you have markers, glue stick, paper, that's fine. The important part is for you to do the work. There's also, Tamara has given us the list of everything she used, because I know some of you are thinking like, oh, what is that thing that she uses? And you want to actually dive into the process the way she's doing it. So in that case, we have 140-pound hot pressed watercolor paper. So you could either have that in your journal or a loose sheet. We have pencil, black pen marker, a white pen or marker, Dylusion inks or a watercolor paint, some collage elements. She used some paper and tissue paper, gel, medium, and matte for gluing. She also used a paintbrush for that, a brayer, which is like a little roller, and white gesso, and some acrylic paint or markers. So if that is foreign language to you, then stick with your markers in your journal. You're good to go. But before we do that, I want you to get settled in your seat. We like to get here, we like to land, and to get settled. So take a sip of whatever you got. Today I'm drinking some tea my husband made me. It's really good, in my Wonder Woman cup. Tamara, are you drinking anything right now?
No, not really. I had some water.
You're being healthy. That's so good. Oh. All right, so let's go ahead and with me, just close your eyes, and we're going to take our 3 deep breaths together. So first, inhaling in and letting go of any distractions, anything that has come before this point. And imagine as you exhale that you're releasing that. Inhaling again and letting go of any distractions, things that are coming up for you in the future. Exhaling and releasing those. And last inhale, smelling this moment, this time. And releasing. So I'm going to introduce our session guide today. Are you ready? Yeah, I can hear you. Same. Yeah. So very excited to work with Tamara Laporte. First time for us together, so yes. Really looking forward to it. Woo! She is with Willowing Arts. She's a creative catalyst for thousands of delightful people, including the thousands that we have listening today as well. She's a celebrated mixed media artist. She's an art teacher, and she's been running her own creative business since late 2008. Her work can be described as like mixed media, folk art with magical realism, and you'll see that during her session. So it ranges from everything from like whimsical children's illustrations to like more stylized fantasy art. Lots of symbolism, layering, and play are a big part of her work. Mm-hmm. And her paintings often have like healing themes, or uplifting messages, or inspirational poetry. So it's not just art for pretty, but it's art for deeper work, which is something that I really connect to. She believes that the act of creating art can actually be a gateway, into healing and personal growth. And lots of times her art classes contain those elements, which you get to experience some. She's the author, or not the author, she's the inventor and creator of Life Book, which is a year-long art course that has some of the most celebrated mixed media artists and personal development people, teachers out there that teach throughout the year. She's also had her work and her articles published in several art magazines and books. She's been interviewed for several online radio stations. She has a huge tribe of fabulous artists that you're gonna be invited to be a part of after this if you choose to. She's got over 28,500 souls in her tribe, and she has lots of popular art classes and things for everyone from the beginner to those that are really wanting to dive deeper. And she lives in the south of England with her husband. She's got 2 boys. Like me, I'm also a lady with 2 boys, so I get it. I get the man thing. And so just so excited to have you. Welcome.
Hello. Thanks for the introduction. Wonderful to be here.
So everybody, we're going to do something a little bit different this time. Normally, you know, we stay here and we connect and we might have some sort of stuff going, but because we are doing something where I really want you to see what Tamara is doing, we've decided to invite you into her studio. So you're going to go on a field trip with Tamara and then you're going to have some fun and then we're going to hook back up at the end. So are we ready? All righty. Let's have fun.
So hi again everyone, it's me again, Tamara Laporte from Willowing Arts, and as part of this Women Unleashed retreat today, I wanted to introduce you to a self-empathy process or a self-empathy exercise that I often include on many of my art courses. And I've been told, and I know for myself, that it's quite an effective tool to find some more love and compassion for yourself in stressful and triggered times. I go to it a lot. When I'm feeling triggered or overworked or stressed or in any way uncomfortable inside myself or in my body. Now, I have to straight away let you know that this process has been influenced by something called nonviolent communication, with which you may or may not be familiar. If you're not, I highly recommend looking it up. I am not affiliated or anything with Nonviolent Communication, NVC, other than it has had a great, amazing, beautifully transformative impact on my life. And I do tend to recommend it wherever I can, because I think it's a great way of, oh wow, so much to this. Anyway, so if you're interested in that, look that up. So today, if I'm correct, you should be able to have access to a PDF that has the same steps on this page. I've printed it out, and there's another page that is with it, which is a needs and feelings list. That will be also very helpful if this is very new to you. And I think that we're also putting the questions up on the screen, if I'm right, on that one. So I will just talk you through the self-empathy process, and then I wanted to share with you a little exercise as to how we could incorporate this work, or the work that we're just doing, into our art journal or altered books or whatever you're working in. I'll show you a couple of my journals in a moment as well. I've got an altered book under here that I'm possibly going to show you that little art exercise in. Normally it was a bit of a challenge for me to think of a shorter exercise, because normally my art exercises can be quite in-depth and long, but we don't have that much time for this retreat. So I've figured out a shorter exercise for you guys today. So the self-empathy process, I'll just read out what I've typed up here. So self-empathy is a process used in non-violent communication or compassionate communication in which we bring our attention and focus to ourselves and listen with kindness to the feelings and needs arising in us. Self-empathy is a valuable tool to learn when we find ourselves triggered and upset by a situation or by the actions of others. It offers us a way of really being in touch with ourselves and what we are longing for and processing our feelings and needs. So, practicing self-empathy. So I suggest practicing this when you are feeling triggered or upset or stressed or overworked. And you can either then write your answers down on this worksheet or on a separate piece of paper, wherever it's comfortable for you. And for the sake of demonstration, I'll choose something that isn't actually completely reality for me right now, as in it's not truly happening, but this is more so that I can give you examples, and for ease I'm choosing something to work with, something that has happened in the past but isn't currently as present. Okay, so we start with step 1. We start with an observation. So we identify the event that is causing you distress. Let's open the lights. Okay, yeah. Distress. Describe the event without including any judgments of yourself or the other. That's not always easy, but it helps with, it helps really getting clarity, really. So if possible, it says here, it's possible not always easy to leave out the judgments. And so if you're very, very new to this work, I would suggest initially practicing this with not a huge, massive trigger initially, so you get a feel for it and understand how to learn, learning how to work it. Try not to start with a huge painful experience if you can, because that might cause just a little bit more, it's harder maybe to learn that way. So for instance, I'm going to say that, so imagine the event I want to work with is that I was having a conversation with someone, let's say my father, just say my father, and he interrupted me and didn't listen to me, didn't listen to what I was saying. So if you were to be including judgments in that, which we're not going to do, but I'll give you an example, you'd be saying, my dad was is such an ignorant man. He is never able, he's so, like, I don't know, it's very hard to say. He's so stupid. He is just not able to ever really listen to me. Something along those lines. Now we're going to try and translate that into more of an observation. So the thing that actually happened, and I am referring back to an incident that happened, is that we were having a conversation. My father interrupted me mid-sentence, and that's it really. Okay, so there's nothing more. He isn't necessarily stupid or bad, or I'm not, I don't know, I'm not touchy-feely or sensitive. There's no judgment. Try to avoid the judgment. So the observation was, I'm a bit bothered by the shadow on this. Sorry, guys. I hope this is a bit better. The light on this camera sometimes. Hold on. Okay, that's maybe a bit better. Sorry. Your answer. I had a conversation with my father who interrupted me. I'm sure there's another mid-sentence. That's all you do. You just isolate the event that was triggering for you and try to describe it with as little judgment as you can. And I understand as well, by the way, if you feel very much like you want to include judgment. That is all understandable. So then step 2 is you ask yourself, what am I feeling? And it's important not to gloss over this bit and or not dismiss it. And also to understand what feelings are. Sometimes we confuse feelings with thoughts. Okay, so try to really stick with feelings, and the easier way to do that is by starting with I feel. Really start with I feel, and don't say like, don't put the word like there. I feel like my dad, or I feel like he wasn't listening to me. These are sort of more observations almost, mixed in with judgments. What we want to go to is that you sit still and sense in your body any discomfort or sadness or anger or pain, like psychic pain, emotional pain, or you could feel slightly sick or disturbed or these kind of things. And if you're confused by this terminology, look at the other PDF where we have an entire, very exhaustive, not exhaustive, but a very long list of feelings and needs. So I would say when I was interrupted, I feel annoyed, frustrated, irritated, sad, at a loss. Okay, so look at what I'm doing. I'm not saying I feel like my dad doesn't care about me. I feel like he doesn't listen to me. I feel like he's so stupid. These are not necessarily feelings, okay? So that's step 2. Then step 3 is the need. Now, needs, so I'm going to read this out for you. Connect the feeling to a need or a value. So careful with the word need. We may misinterpret that or think that needs, the word need basically has lots of meanings in the English language. In MBC, needs refer to values or deeper life forces. So you ask yourself, what need here is not met? What am I needing when remembering this event? So here it says, don't confuse needs with strategies. Needs are like a life force or your deep values, like I need care, I need understanding, I need shelter, love, connection, expression, tamata, compassion, to be seen, friendship, support. Again, if you're wanting to familiarize yourself more with what is meant as needs in this particular exercise, refer to the other PDF. So if you're saying things like a car, a job, a pen, food, I need a pen, I need food, because we use that in the language, these are strategies to get actual needs met. So I get that that might be slightly confusing. Sit with this question for a little bit if you're not quite sure the difference between a strategy and a need, sorry. So guessing, like looking at this me, I'm being interrupted by my father and I feel annoyed, frustrated, irritated and sad. What am I needing? What do you think I'm needing? So I'm needing, what I needed in that moment was perhaps to be heard. And maybe to be understood. Now, if you're saying, I could say here, or I could think, I needed to not be interrupted, that's again a strategy. You want to go inwards in yourself and really sink deeply inside your sort of emotional life, value life, and really connect on an emotional, physical level with these. This will come up if you sit properly and go deeper. You'll find the thing that you really needed in that moment. And by sinking under these judgments and judgment of the other person, he should have been listening to me. Why is he not listening? He never listens to me. That kind of thinking. By moving away from judgments and going under and feeling, going to your feelings, going to your needs, you can give yourself, you can be present to to the sadness and to the irritation or the frustration and the unmet need. You can be present to that. And I find that first of figuring out how for some people it's a complete surprise to even find out that they feel that they have this living inside of them. For others, they're more familiar with it. But once you can really be in that space and be present and compassionately sort of awake to this experience within inside yourself, and give yourself love and compassion around the fact that this has happened for you, regardless of this other person that is involved, can be very healing and helpful. So we're not quite done yet though. So what here, I mean, that's step 4. So it's just give yourself some time to sit with these needs and really feel them alive in you. And notice how important these needs are to you. Acknowledge to yourself, either to the inner child or to you as a grown-up or whoever needs to be heard inside of you, how hard it was for you not to have those needs met in that moment. Honor the unmet needs and simply be with these needs and how they are alive in you when you remember the event. So again, it's that kind of idea that you can, by simply giving these unmet needs and feelings attention, often we dismiss feelings and needs. We go, oh God, I'll get on with it. Or we jump to judgment. This person is a bad person. They don't listen to me ever, blah, 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 all this. Or you go to self. You go, why am I so needy? Why do I need him to listen to me? Oh, why do I care about this? All that. If you sink under the story of it all, and you really get to the core of your feelings and your needs and give that space and loving attention, just that one act or two maybe can be very, very healing and help you move on to the next thing. Not necessarily, I'm not saying that just doing that will be for everything will work, but for many scenarios this could also be the first step towards healing from or calming down. It doesn't even need to be healing straight away, but it could be good calming down. So then step 5, there's also a request part of that. So you can then, once you've done that, after sitting with and acknowledging your needs, you can then, you can then ask yourself if you have a request of yourself or someone else. So choose a doable action request. So not something like, I'm going to, I don't know, I'd like to try and fly to the moon today. You could try, but something doable, an action request, so that it, so it's something that you can then feel satisfied that you've done it, so you can actually do it. For instance, you may want to decide to call up a friend and ask them to listen to you while you share your feelings about this event. Or you may want to ask your friend to only listen and not give advice, be very specific in your request. Or you may want to ask yourself to take a day or so to do some real fun things for yourself, or make some art, go to the cinema, go to a spa, or you may want to create a ritual in memory or acknowledgement of your particular event by lighting a candle and blowing it out, or create a piece of art in honor of your unmet needs. So there's all kinds of ways that then you can then, in a ritual way, or whatever speaks to you, whatever you feel called to do in response to realizing and understanding what's happened for you, that that there was some wounding inside of you, and how are you going to acknowledge that and really be present to it. And I mean, if you're ever interested in you going into further MVC, there are other steps that there's a wealth, much more to MVC than just self-empathy. But there's you can then also, if you have, let's say, a conflict with someone else, you could then decide to go into communication with this other person should you want to. But we're not doing that today. This is about self-empathy and supporting yourself through painful experiences. But so yeah, so this is my my self-empathy process that I love doing and helping people with. So I wanted to, like now look at it, to be heard and to be understood. So so now what I wanted to show you is how you can then use, so in my case I would say, let's make a piece of art in honor of this experience, in honor or in honor of, or to help process, or to let go of, or to give myself some affirmations in response to this pain. So, so here I'm saying I'm going to make a piece of art. I'm going to make a piece of art, and I'm looking back on my answer. So I had this to be heard and to be understood, and I'm going to change. So yeah, what I wanted was to be heard and understood, and I'm going to kind of, in my head, or even write down, create some affirmations in response to the unmet needs that I experienced. So let's say if there was some more, let's say to be understood, to be considered, maybe. All right, I wanted to be considered. I wanted my dad to care. I wanted him to care about me in that moment. I wanted him to, matter. Okay, so I'm just adding a couple ins just to show you how we can then make affirmations out of these. So affirmations would be sentences that are affirming that this is happening for you. Now, of course, we experienced that it didn't happen, but as part of our healing process, we can offer this to ourselves in that self-empathy process. So I'm gonna write down, you are heard. I want to say you are heard and seen. That feels nice. So I'm gonna write a couple of positive affirmations that I will be including in my art piece in a moment. You can do you or I. You are deeply understood. Deeply understood. So whatever feels more comfortable for you, could say I matter. So matter. I matter deeply. People consider me. Okay, so these are a couple of examples of how you might create positive affirmations in response to your unmet needs. Now, and then you need to keep that to the side, and then I want to talk to you a little bit about a piece of art that you can create in response to, or with, not in response to, but maybe either to help you move on or heal or relax, or in response with this self-empathy process. So I've got a couple of my journals and altered books here. Completely depends on what you know or don't know about my work. I know some of you might be quite new to my work, so I like working in journals. You guys, I think, are also using a journal. This is a very large journal that I'm currently working in. I've got different sizes of all kinds, but I liked bringing out altered books as well. So I work in altered books as well, not as often, but I've got a couple. This is one I recently did. I went to Paris with Jane Davenport, and we started creating altered journals or altered books. These are vintage books, and the thing. Okay, sorry. So the exercise I wanted to. Oh, here we go. Let's go. So I want to create with you guys an affirmation feather. This won't take as long as all my other stuff. This is always quite in depth. So I wanted to make an affirmation feather. If you've been on Lifebook this year, you would have done an affirmation feather with me. And so we're going to make another one. Yay! And they're very, very lovely to make, not too complicated, and they are very beautiful. I don't know, I love them because if you can see close up, there are words, there are affirmations inside the feather, what are these things called? Hairs? Strands? So there are little affirmations in there, so it's a very precious activity for me. So now, what you'll need to do this exercise is a couple of things, materials and stuff that, let me think, because I'm just trying to think, you can either add it to already existing journal pages, if you, I don't know what you've already done, you can have, let's have a look. So I don't know, here I've done this page here, and if I had space on the side here, I could maybe create a feather there, or wherever else. Here I'm halfway through to a girl, I can maybe put a feather here, or you can stand your feather completely on its own, like on this page, and this was on an A4 sized page, A4 means 9 by 12, or you can, the other thing, so I wanted to demonstrate this in an altered book really, because it's very beautiful. Like I worked this on collage here, you can see the collage in the background, and then I thought, oh, it'd be quite cool if we can start off with a collaged page and work on top of that. Alright guys, so I'm going to show you how to make an affirmation feather, and I will be working on, instead of in my working in my journal or my altered book, I want to just demonstrate this feather making on a piece of watercolor paper, 140 pounds hot pressed. And I'm not doing anything in my journal because my journals are full. I can't find any good page. And also my the altered book one, if you do it on an altered page, doing a feather over collage might be a little bit more problematic, and I can do that, but for the sake of demonstration and the lack of time, I want to do something that isn't as problematic. So what I need you to get together is a couple of collage pieces of any kind that you like. It doesn't need to be much. We're just going to do a few small pieces. And the point of this particular lesson today is I want to show you how you can make a fairly lovely affirmation feather without needing that much time. Well, for me, it might still be a lot of time for you guys. But my lessons usually take a lot longer than just 40 minutes, so it's hard for me to find actually an activity that won't take as much time. But the affirmation feather is perfect today for what we're doing with our self-empathy as well. So I'm going to be using some gel medium or matte medium to glue my pieces of collage down, and I'm going to overlap my collage pieces as well. Hold on, just put that way. I'm going to basically, if you look at the original one that I showed you, I'm going to use sort of this area for collage and then not worry about the rest of the page. It's just so that we have some interesting thing happening in the background and not just paint, let's say. So you're not really looking to collage the entire page. You're just looking to collage small pieces. Okay, so I've got my music score there. So I'm overlapping, as you can see, and I'm just doing kind of small pieces that I like just the look of how I'm not applying any major compositional secrets or anything. I just want a couple of collage pieces. You may have noticed that they're more